If you've ever clicked on a video promising to fix your chronic procrastination, chances are it failed, and then you've probably convinced yourself that it was because you're lazy or undisciplined. After all, every video has the same tricks and habits organized into an easy-to-watch top 5 list, each with millions of views, thousands of likes, and hundreds of comments all saying how great they are. But the truth is, it's not you, it's them. Kind of. They're underselling just how much work actually goes into focus. Because when creatives talk about focus, they're actually talking about the flow state. The state where there is just no resistance between you and your task. You simply flow. So how do you stay focused when creating art? You remove that resistance. Which means you're going to need a clear endpoint, a specific goal in mind that can be completed within a single session. After all, can you focus on something if you don't know what that something is? No. Staring at a blank canvas is probably one of the most frustrating parts of any creative process, whether it's an actual canvas, a Photoshop document, or a blinking cursor. I've encountered all three. It's the anti-focus. There's literally nothing there to focus on. Knowing what you need to do will instantly fill in that blank mental space with some kind of action. We're at A, and we need to get to B. That's why it's important to make sure the goal is session-based. So instead of, I need to create a finished portrait image, like in my case, it could be, in this 3-hour session, I want the composition and colors to all be established. So that might mean blocking out the background, placing or sketching out your main character elements, and playing with colors all along the way to give you an idea of your general color palette. We established a specific goal, which can be then broke down into 3 actionable tasks. So now we just do those tasks, right? Unfortunately, figuring out your tasks is only half the battle. Environment plays a huge role in focus. Both your physical and digital environment, assuming most people here work largely digitally. But either way, physical is easy. Keep it clean, keep it minimal, and keep everything within arm's reach when possible. Get your water, get your pen that you're constantly losing, and your phone promptly set to work or do not disturb mode. After all, this thing is literally engineered to distract you. But let's talk about prepping your digital workspace, which for me is actually more crucial by a lot. I even have a whole lesson dedicated to it in my Dark Surrealism masterclass. I had to put it in there. We cover prepping your workspace, conceptualizing ideas, and of course a whole lot more. It's actually 50% off for just a little while longer for that launch promo, but that launch price is coming to an end soon, so you can go ahead and grab it down below if you're interested. But I'll give you my 2 main must-dos before I start any art or project session. First, I create a mood board. I've talked about creating a mood board using PureRef specifically countless times, so I won't go into the specifics of that program, but I don't start a single project without first gathering references, inspiration, color palettes, texture swatches, or images that just kind of fit the vibe I want. Absolutely anything that I might need, so it's all in one nice place. This saves me time since you can save PureRef files and open them up alongside your different projects as you need to. But more importantly, it keeps me off the internet. If I am online, I might as well look at my email. And if I'm on my email, might as well reply to some. While I'm responding to those, might as well check on my social media. And now I'm either on Instagram and hating myself, or on Twitter and hating everyone else. Second, create a curated playlist or soundscapes. I like to think of this as an auditory mood board. It helps you feel out the vibe you want your image to have, while also blocking out any outside distractions and not being distracting in and of itself. This is a big reason why curating a soundscape playlist can especially be effective for those with ADHD. Everyone's different, but this helps me. Because if you're like me, sometimes music with lyrics can be distracting. I'm focusing on how rad the song is and not whatever less cool thing I'm probably doing in that moment. Again, the music should fit the overall theme or feeling of whatever you're working on, which kind of helps your mind from wandering. Luckily, there's not a single genre, theme, or vibe that exists where you won't be able to find a 4+ hour YouTube video that fits it perfectly. Or if you have a much better attention span than me, you can of course create your own playlist full of whatever songs just fit your image's soundtrack. Again, matching that vibe and really immersing yourself in the theme. So we know what we need to do, and we're all prepped and ready to go. Now we just start. Yep, just start. Why is that so hard though? Sometimes I'll catch myself staring at absolutely nothing, choosing to do nothing over just starting what I need to get started. And that's when the guilt really starts to set in. And this is where a good old timer then comes to a rescue. Just like how we broke down our session goal into tasks, we are going to break down our actual session into segments, otherwise known as Pomodoro, which I'm sure most have heard of, though I've never actually said it out loud. But if not, here's a quick summary. The Pomodoro technique is just a time management method, typically based on 25-minute stretches of work that are then broken up by 5 to 10-minute breaks. After 4 sessions, you'll usually take a longer 15 to 30-minute break. The idea is just to lessen the mental hurdle of working for 4 hours. Now you're only working for 25 minutes. Just 25 minutes, and then you can take a break. That's just much easier to digest and tackle. Keep in mind, you don't have to do the typical 25-minute work, 5-minute break split. I actually like to do 50 minutes of work and then a 10-minute break when I use this method, because I find the constant starting and stopping poopy distracting in and of itself. Which then brings me to my actual tip of setting a timer and then ignoring it. I think Pomodoro is optimal for more repetitive, utilitarian, or systematic tasks. It comes back to the idea of a flow state, where focus is now the norm and not something you're actually trying for. The timer got you started and you're now working. But what happens when that alarm goes off? You're involuntarily ejected into a break you might not have needed yet. But that mental boost of all I have to do is work X amount of minutes is significant. It usually gets me going at least. So we set our timer, but we make it silent. That way, if it goes off and we're in that focused state, it doesn't distract us. We don't notice the timer is up, we just keep working, which is what we want. That's kind of the goal. But if it does go off and we need the break, we take it. No guilt. And then we just rinse and repeat. Sometimes we take a break, sometimes we don't. We're either breaking the session down into easy to deal with segments, or we're just kind of flowing. And that gets us our start. But it can feel so hard to stay focused. And this is when we can start to ask ourselves, why can't we focus? Is our brain pulling towards other things, other obligations or stresses? This is why scheduling a time that you're going to do art is incredibly vital. You know that in this place, at this time, you will be doing nothing but art. Even if it's a hobby, not your job, you schedule it in like you would a friend, and you value that time you spend with it. There are no other obligations or options, no distractions, no guilt about having other things to do. Because by scheduling it and prioritizing it, you're actually allowing your brain to focus. You're doing exactly what you're meant to be doing. The task at hand is the only thing there to focus on. I personally struggle a lot with worry and guilt. It's a problem for me. And so when I sat down and thought about it, it wasn't that I wasn't necessarily focusing, it was that I was focused on 10 other things along with whatever I was working on. It's like trying to watch a show while also changing the channel every 30 seconds. Giving myself permission to actually focus on one thing was a massive revelation for me. But that's not the only reason you might have issues focusing. It's definitely not my only one. Let's talk about inspiration. It's best to start thinking about inspiration, motivation, and the magical kind of focus that kind of comes out of nowhere, like lightning strikes. Imagine if you literally planned your day around being struck by lightning. Nothing would get done. Assume it's not going to happen on its own and carve out a spot in your day to prioritize doing art or whatever, regardless. It's about not waiting, just doing. And don't get me wrong, just do it is, I think, one of the more unhelpful pieces of advice someone can give. When paired with the earlier tricks though, all three kind of come together and create a almost fail-safe system for me. But more importantly, just try and remember that focus requires work, hard work. Sometimes we'll succeed and sometimes we'll fail at it. We've been tricked into thinking we're lazy when really we're just trying our best. That's all you can do. Now, if you want some tips and tricks for starting Photoshop specifically, I have a video on how I'd relearn Photoshop if given a chance, or if I'd even learn it at all, who knows. Otherwise, that's gonna do it for me. Remember to check out my masterclass, link down below, before that sales run out. And I figured a video on focus should be short and sweet. So I'll see you guys later.